Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning us in today and joining us for this week's edition of 13 News Dialogue, where we take 30 minutes to explore some great events that make our area such a fantastic place to live, especially this time of the year. You'll meet some fascinating people. Some are from Hampton Roads, some come from far away, all to get you in on the action. And our first guest is Mr. Scott Jackson. He's been here before. He is one of the men and crew working very hard behind the scenes to put on the Virginia Arts Festival. He is the producer and director of a great annual tradition we have called the International Tattoo. How are you, sir?
I'm very good.
Welcome. Welcome back, I should say. Great tie. You all notice this tie? It's like an American flavor here.
This is my favorite patriotic tie, so
and you wore that
I'm glad you noticed it.
Absolutely. Tell us what the tattoo is, because we know a lot of you might be new to Hampton Roads, and you might think it's like a tattoo festival where you're thinking body ink. No, that's not it.
Yeah, the word is actually a Dutch word, and it just means taps off. And believe it or not, soldiers several hundred years ago hit the bars at the end of a long day, not unlike today.
Some traditions still sound familiar, huh?
Yes. So at the end of the day, they would send a town crier through saying tattoo, which just meant taps off. And all the soldiers would come together. They would do a performance. Well, over time, the townspeople thought this was pretty great entertainment, so they'd follow along. So when we say tattoo, it's really last call, and it's a gathering of the military and an opportunity for people in the community to come see them do some of their ceremonies and their ceremonial music.
And so it's a big gathering together at Scope every single year.
Exactly.
And not just with the American military.
That's a good point. It's a very international event. We will have tremendous representation from the U.S. military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, but we'll have a group from the Kingdom of Tonga, which is in the South Pacific. We'll have a group from the Alps in Germany, from Bavaria. We'll have a group from the UK called the Gurkha Regiment, which includes citizens of Nepal. We'll also have pipers from Australia and Canada. Ultimately, we'll have people from 7 nations, more than 800 performers.
Including France, right?
You're seeing some video of a French group from last year, so that'll give you a little taste of what you might have seen last year. They were involved in the show in 2010.
Okay, but that's excellent, and it is a grand spectacle. I mean, it is really something to go see and hear.
I think so. For example, if you've ever been at a beautiful occasion where a bagpiper played and you felt chills down your spine, imagine 170 bagpipers playing. It's stunning. It's not something you will ever experience anywhere else but at a tattoo.
And there's a lot of pride. I mean, it's really a grand salute, because we're talking about your American tie here, but each country will be represented in their dress, by their sound, their music, and you can sense the pride coming from the performances.
Well, that's a really important point. When I go around the world to look for groups to be in the tattoo, one of the things that Americans instinctively respond to is that pride, that esprit de corps. We expect it from our military, and we respect it in others. So the groups I pick are always great examples of their own personal pride. I ask them to play music from their country, their culture, share with us what their sense of pride, and that's a really powerful experience.
So they're literally auditioning for you.
Yeah, on some level. When I go and see a group, I want to see not only excellence, but that pride and that sense of who they are, and that's something we celebrate.
And what do you want us to take away from it? Since you've gotten these groups together, and they've said yes, and they all convene, they tap out, that's what it said? Tap out at Scope?
Yes.
That's what tattoo means?
Taps off.
Taps off. Okay, I'm trying to learn here with all you guys here. So they get together at Scope. What do you want us to take away from the experience?
I think first of all is that we have much more in common than different with our friends and allies around the world, that these groups come in not knowing each other, and by the time you see them, they're truly friends and colleagues. I think that that pride we feel in our country, others can feel, and we can still have a friendship and be at peace. And probably the best thing of all is it's something a family can really enjoy. I tell people there's only 2 dates on the Jackson family calendar that my parents and kids both like. It's Christmas and the tattoo. So that's pretty good company. It's a great chance for a family to all enjoy something together.
And the Virginia International Tattoo is happening the weekend of April 29th. It's April 29th, 30th, and May 1st at Scope. And in addition to the show, Scott, this looks really cool. The Tattoo Hullabaloo gives you and your family a chance to really get up close and personal with some of these performers, right?
Exactly. 2 hours before each show, we'll have performances, food, drink. We're going to do a piping contest. I was in Edinburgh this summer to see the tattoo there, which is an amazing event. And one of the things I loved is all the energy before the show. There were street performers, all kind of activities, and I thought we could recreate this here in Norfolk on the plaza at Scope. So many of the performers in the tattoo will be doing a little pre-concert performer, performance, there'll be food, there'll be a lot going on. Great chance to really extend the experience of the tattoo.
You know, do you think, I'm going to get a little political and current events on you here, okay? Because that's what we do here at Channel 13. Do you think, given all of the events that we've seen internationally, the strife that we've seen in the world, people trying to come together to unify their country, in some cases, it's to get rid of people who they think are dictators, but there is a different kind of spirit there. Do you think the tattoo uplifts us in these trying times?
I think there's no question. And I also think when these 800 people come together and share something, that experience of working hard and performing together, they all go home and talk to their family and their friends and their relatives and talk about the experience they have here in the U.S. and working together. And we always look at history as being a set of enormously important events, but sometimes history is a set of very small events. The tattoo sets a lot of great wheels in motion for the performers and the audience, again, looking at what we have in common, not what's different about us, and looking at how powerful we are working together. So I think it's particularly timely to have an event like this that celebrates not only our pride in the U.S., but our pride in our friends and allies.
This draws huge crowds every single year. My last question to you would be, what is the feedback you get from American troops, American members of our military, when they hear the roar of the crowd in scope, when they see how well received this event is, how well received they are?
It's awesome. And I'll tell you, every year we have a group of young Marines run an obstacle race, and we rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, and they're tired and they're banged up from the obstacle race. And then Thursday morning we'll do a student matinee with 6,000 screaming kids. Those Marines sprint like I've never seen anyone sprint. I had one Marine go too fast past one of the obstacles and slide about 20 feet past it. He was so energized. So if anything will tell you how they feel, it's that one person sliding 20 feet too far just because they were so amped up about it. So
well,
I think
we're glad to support it and glad to help spread the word. And hopefully you'll go out there and check it out. If you've never been, it'll be a first-time treat for you. If you have been before, you know it's a surprise every single year. It's at Scope, April 29th, 30th, and May 1st. Call 282-2822 for tickets. You can also check out vafest.org. The Virginia Arts Festival, the International Tattoo. Mr. Scott Jackson, I know you got to go. You got a lot of work still to do. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Great job. Back with more of Dialogue for you right after this. Welcome back to Dialogue. We are honored to have with us two very important guests. We think all of our guests are important, but when you're dealing with NATO and the important job that they have around the world, well, we can call our next two guests special. Vice Admiral Bob Cooling is the Chief of Staff of NATO, and sir, it's very nice to have you with us here on Dialogue today. Wait until you hear his accent. Go ahead, say something.
It's my pleasure to be here.
I love it. I love it. Lamont Maddox is the NATO Festival Board Chairman. It's nice to have you here too, sir.
Thank you, Lasalle. Great to be here.
And we are here talking about NATO Fest. It is a grand tradition here in Hampton Roads. And those of you who've been in the area for a long time, like myself, may say, this time of year, didn't we have the Azalea Festival? This is the same thing, right? And same thing and different.
This is the same festival. We recently changed the name from the Azalea Festival to the Norfolk NATO Festival. This is actually the third name change. The festival originated back in the early 50s, started as the Crepe Myrtle Festival. Shortly after it started at the beginning, it became the Azalea Festival. And that's about the time that it also incorporated the NATO Command and the celebration of NATO. And because we've lost the roots back to the botanical, honoring the blooming of the flowers, we thought it was more relevant to change the name to Norfolk NATO Festival, which is our emphasis and focus now.
And what does it mean for the men and women of NATO, sir, to have this big name change, especially given what is happening in the world, and we're seeing the importance of NATO when you look at the news every single night?
Well, as far as the name change is concerned, you now get what's written on the tin. It's the Norfolk NATO Festival. It's a manifestation of the link between NATO and the Hampton Roads community, which is unique anywhere in the world. There is nowhere else in the world that recognizes and celebrates the presence of NATO. And I think that the local community can feel very, very proud of themselves because they are prepared to celebrate NATO's presence here.
And how we are celebrating is with a big parade, and that is on Saturday morning, April 30th. We were talking about the tattoo earlier and how it's a grand salute to the military and our partners and our friends around the world. This is something your children will love. The parade is through downtown Norfolk, and it's on Saturday, April 30th, like I mentioned, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Guys, I'm going to hand it off to you. Can you tell us what we can expect and why we all should go down?
Right, now I'd love to just sort of start
jump on in.
The conversation. The parade will kick off at 10 a.m. It'll start at Harbor Park, run down Waterside Drive, past Nauticus, continue down Bush Street. Immediately after parade, which should wrap up around 11 a.m., we have what's called NATO Fest, where we have entertainment, we have dancers, we have music in Town Point Park, we have international food and drinks. So immediately after the parade, the crowd can then flow to Town Point Park and enjoy our NATO Fest festivities.
And doesn't it give the kids a great chance to learn about different cultures, learn about different countries?
It does, absolutely. There's 28 different nations there, and there's an opportunity to go and actually talk with the men and women from those 28 nations. And the children can go and get their NATO passport stamped. Incidentally, not all children probably even know what NATO stands for, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, made up by 28 nations. Only two of the nations are on this side of the Atlantic. All the rest are in Europe. And just coming back to your earlier comment, what does it mean to NATO?
Yeah.
It means an enormous amount to NATO because it demonstrates just how important NATO presence in Norfolk is as far as the local people of this community are concerned.
Talk to us about that NATO presence. I'm not sure a lot of people know about that.
Yeah, it's the Allied Command Transformation, which is the headquarters here in the heart of Norfolk, is the only NATO headquarters, permanent NATO headquarters anywhere in North America. And it's made up of 670 men and women, all military, but they're also NATO civilians as well. And we all live in the local community, either in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads generally. And when you count up all the families, it's about 4,000 men, women and children, and totally integrated into the society. It's fantastic.
And this is the big event where you all say, thank you.
Exactly. And come and meet us. Come and taste our food. Come and drink, if you're over 21, our beer. Come and see us perform. Come and watch the marching bands. And it's all integrated. It's not just about the 28 nations. It's also about your local community.
Absolutely.
High schools are attending.
Absolutely.
The fire brigade's there. The police are there. Mayor Frame will be there. It's really good.
And we were talking earlier during the segment with the Virginia tattoo, the international tattoo, about how there's so much strife in the world and unrest, and we're seeing current events in which NATO allies and partners are coming together, and this is on a smaller scale a way for us to come together as well.
Absolutely, and it's a clear demonstration of the fact that different cultures really can work together. And NATO's all about interoperability between the nations, and there's no better exposition of interoperability than here in Hampton Roads through the Norfolk NATO Festival, and we're extremely grateful for that.
And we're extremely grateful for the job that you all do and the hard work that you've done, Mr. Maddox. I know it's not easy putting together the big NATO Fest.
Right, well, it's been efforts of many people, our friends at the command. We've got volunteers on our board, our sponsors, other volunteers to help us with putting on the festival.
Does it cost anything?
It's open and free to the public.
Free,
Everyone
Hampton
is welcome.
Free. So go down and check out the NATO Fest. Get used to the new name. The NATO Fest, Saturday, April 30th, 10 a.m. The parade starts at Harbor Park, going down Tidewater Drive, and lots of good stuff happening at Town Point Park. 605-3073 is the number to call for more info. You can also check out NorfolkNatoFestival.org. We salute you, and we're back with more dialogue for you right after this.